Chapter 209 to 215. Looking at the reward posters in his hand, Kuroto can't help but laugh. Currently, he has a total of 5 reward posters in his hand. The first 2 are the old reward posters recording the bounty after the Uchiha Shinichi defection incident. The paper has also yellowed out and the reward is still the same as before. Then there are also 3 new rewards. First is issued for the so-called leader of Amatsukami, Yama. The picture part is only a rough sketch of the Yama mask and the Amatsukami cloak with a reward of 150 million ryo. The other 2 are issued rewards for the 2 other members of Amatsukami who have made a public appearance, each worth 80 million ryo. If the 5 bounties are added together, the total amount reaches up to 370 million ryo. Thinking so, Kuroto can't help but wonder whether to produce a few clones and exchange their corpses for the bounty. But he soon dispelled this absurd idea, and thought, who would have issued these rewards? The actions Konoha carried out in the past week were to eliminate all the possible bounty mean and mercenary organizations non-affiliated to Konoha and collect all the intelligence they can about Amatsukami, but Hokage-sama did not issue any rewards in the black market circle. So, the other possible parties who could have issued the rewards are Uchiha Clan, Akatsuki Organization, and Kumogakure. At this time, Shursui's figure appeared in front of Kuroto. Kuroto asked, "Did it succeed?" Shursui shook his head negatively. Root Subdivision has fully taken over the prison cell and completely sealed it for torture and mind-reading purpose, so entering and gathering any intelligence without Danzo-sama's permission is impossible. Kuroto nodded, he expected as much. Although he knows that his Yama and Suijin disguises are impeccable and impossible to see through, there is no absolute in the shinobi world. And if some had actually seen through his disguise and was captured, then there is a possibility that this information will be revealed, so he asked Shursui to infiltrate the prison grounds and see if he could figure out something. But it appears that Shimura Danzo has taken the cautious route, and directly sealed restricted the entry. Sighing slightly, Kuroto decided to put this matter aside for the time being and asked Shursui, "And just what in the hell is going with your Uchiha clan? Why have I been hearing reports of innocents being killed and pillaged? Does the Uchiha clan really have any intention to stay alive, or are they gone insane enough to break the shinobi code even in the non-war period? Are you people just asking to be put into a bad position?" Shursui's face also darkened upon Kuroto's question. Sighing in helplessness, Shursui said, "There has been no news of Hideki for such a long time, so Uchiha Ryota has been getting more unstable, even the other clansmen are staying a bit far away from him, and it has become a bit difficult for even Patriarch to persuade him to be patient." Somewhere else in the Land of Fire. In a market area, Uchiha Ryota held a bounty nin by the collar and questioned with a vicious tone, "Answer me, where is the hiding place of Amatsukami?" The bounty nin was currently in a severe state, the face was swollen red, the jaw was broken, blood flowing from the corner of the mouth, several cut and stab wounds in and around the stomach, and he could only shake his head in fear. I don't know. Please let me go. I have a wife. Oh, you have a family, and you still don't know? Ryota grinned, took out another kunai, and stabbed at the back of the bounty nin's hand repeatedly and questioned again, "Do you know now?" The poor bounty nin already had tears coming out of his eyes. He knew that his sensory nerves in the hands are damaged, but because of the lack of his strength, all he could do was grit his teeth and beg, I have retired long ago, I have quit my life as a shinobi. I swear I have never heard of Amatsukami, please just let me go. I swear I don't know anything." "You still don't know?" Uchiha Ryota snorted and punched the bounty nin with all his strength, causing blood to splatter all over the place. At this time, Hyuga Hizashi walked near Uchiha Ryota and tried to dissuade him, "Stop acting barbaric, Uchiha Ryota, if you continue, he will only die before he can even give out any useful intel." Uchiha Ryota turned towards Hizashi with a gloomy look in his eyes and kicked away the bounty nin, who was only a step away from the door of death. Hizashi sighed in relief, but just when he thought that Uchiha Ryota was about to stop, he suddenly printed hand seals and shouted while turning towards the retired bounty nin. "Fire release, fireball technique." The huge fireball rushed towards the dying bounty nin and swallowed him completely, not even leaving ashes. But it didn't stop there, and soon the flames of the fire technique spread to the other places. And it wasn't even a few seconds when the small bazaar they were in was swallowed in the flames of the billowing hot fire spread by the raging wind. The entire place started to burn. Hizashi was taken aback and frowned, "Are you crazy? You are breaking the shinobi code." Looking at the normal civilians struggling to get away from the flames, listening to the shouts, wailing, and crying of people reaching his ears, Ryota laughed unscrupulously. These useless people deserve to die, since they don't know anything. What's the point them even being alive? Hisashi's face sank. Uchiha Ryota, you are being too savage. How do you expect Hokage-sama to explain this situation to Daimyo-sama? Do you have no shame? Ryota glanced at Hisashi with unhidden disdain in his gaze as his eyes turned towards the forehead and said, "Huh, a dog like you is not qualified to tell what an Uchiha should do and what he should not do." Uchiha Ryota directly touched the nail of Hisashi's heart, and now Hisashi was really angry. Ryota noticed Hisashi's rising anger and said mockingly, You wanna try it? Do you have the courage?" Following the words, the three black tomo circling in the scarlet copy wheel appeared in Ryota's eyes, and his murderous intentions were subconsciously leaking. He is aching to kill and slaughter. Hisashi took a deep breath to calm his anger and stated with a serious expression, "I will be reporting your actions to Hokage-sa." However, before he could complete the sentence, Uchiha Ryota flickered from his position and rushed towards Hisashi. "You." Hisashi was taken aback. He did not expect Uchiha Ryota to really go mad enough to attack a fellow shinobi from the same village. This is outrageous. Boom. Hisashi was unprepared and could hardly resist the kick of Uchiha Ryota. As a result, he flew and hit a wall on the other side of the road. In the woods outside the small bazaar, a whirling vortex appeared in the void, and out came our very own masked man. He naturally came to the land of fire to investigate Amatsukami. Sitting on a tree branch and dangling his legs in a to and fro motion, with one hand supporting the chin part of the mask he wore, the person was carefully observing the battle that took place in the distance. Uchiha Ryota and Hyuga Hisashi are both elite jonin of their respective clans, and their strength is almost of the same level. It is just that Uchiha Ryota not only attacked first, but was also unscrupulous, bloodthirsty, and crazy, while Hisashi cannot act in such a way, so he was being suppressed by Uchiha Ryota. At this moment, Zetsu stuck out half of its body from the trunk of the tree and asked, curiously, how come two Konoha shinobi are fighting? Masked Man turned to look at Zetsu and instead of answering he questioned, did you find the reason why Konoha organized such an operation and included the Uchiha clan into it? Was it to encircle and hunt down Amatsukami? Zetsu nodded. I overheard the conversation of a few Konoha shinobi. It seems that Amatsukami has been eyeing Sharingan and kidnapped an elite jonin of the Uchiha clan from the village, so to hunt down and possibly rescue the kidnapped Uchiha clan member, Konoha organized a search and hunt down operation under the command of Shimura Danzo, and the Uchiha clan is also a part of this operation. Masked Man was surprised and muttered with a frown, Amatsukami has been eyeing Sharingan of the Uchiha clan. He couldn't help but murmur, what do they want the Sharingan for? Is it just money or something else entirely? The true power of Sharingan can only be manifested by an Uchiha. Hatake Kakashi is a typical example of being greatly restrained by the Sharingan he has. Therefore, the masked man was quite intrigued as to why would Amatsukami display the sudden interest in the Sharingan. Zetsu said, I also overheard a piece of intelligence about Amatsukami you would be very interested to know. What intelligence? Asked masked man with curiosity. It is suspected that Homasubi is actually a defected Uchiha. He has also awakened the Manjikyu Sharingan, and apparently he also defeated Uchiha Shisui. Masked Man was stunned, his face had a gloomy look. There are very few people that make him feel threatened in the shinobi world. Among them, Uchiha Madara and Yondaime Hokage Namikaze Minato are the only two people that really prompted the Masked Man to be cautious. But with the death of these two, Masked Man gradually felt that the entire shinobi world was dancing in the palm of his hands, and he had control over everything. However, the sudden emergence of Amatsukami has started to again give rise to that same fear, and he can't help but feel that things have started to get out of his hand. After a long silence, the masked man questioned, can you be certain of this intelligence? Uchiha Shisui is currently the only Uchiha shinobi of Konoha to have the Manjikyu Sharingan. His strength is definitely not weak, and if Homasubi of Amatsukami could easily defeat Uchiha Shisui, then that means Homasubi is also not a simple individual. Zetsu shrugged, I only overheard this piece of information, as for whether it is correct or not can't be confirmed for the time being, but if you really want to know, I can kidnap a Konoha shinobi who should be aware of this intelligence and confirm the authenticity. Masked Man shook his head negatively, no, we would not be taking any action this time around. Zetsu noticed the masked man's worry and questioned, are worried about something perhaps? The masked man said, if Homasubi really defeated Uchiha Shisui, then there is no longer a need to confirm whether he has Manjikyu Sharingan. It has to be the case, the rumors may, in fact, be credible enough, but he is not the cause of my worry. We have no intelligence whatsoever about Yama. If what Kakuzu said is correct, then Yama is the leader of Amatsukami. Are you worried about him? Asked Zetsu. The masked ma silent for a while, neither did he nod nor denied, and after the silence he spoke. Being the leader, Yama should be stronger than Homasubi, and if that's the case, it would not be easy to deal with him. I don't want to provoke such troublesome guy. Now that I think about it this way, this does seem correct, but this only makes me more curious as to who exactly is this Yama fellow. Muttered Zetsu. The masked man turned his head back towards the direction of the fight going on between Uchiha Ryota and Hyuga Hizashi and said, as long as they do not interfere with Project Tsuki no Mi and do not hinder our actions, we do not need to be enemies. As long as all the 9 Bijou are successfully collected and Jubi is revived, we wouldn't have to worry about anything. Zetsu nodded. What's more, we also have the Rinnegan. Nothing is worth mentioning in the face of the Rinnegan. Let Konoha investigate Amatsukami and make sure to pay attention to them. We can consider making our move when there is a right opportunity at our door. After speaking this, the masked man suddenly thought of something and questioned, have you confirmed the movements of Akatsuki members? Zetsu nodded. Don't worry, Uchiha Shinichi and Biwa Juzo have returned to the Land of Rain ahead of schedule. Then the Sasori and Kakuzu duo along with Hirako and Shino have gone to the Land of Wind. Therefore, other than the two of us, nobody of Akatsuki is Land of Fire, and will no longer be used by Amatsukami like last time. The masked man nodded and asked, casually, the Land of Wind? Are those 4 going to deal with Orochimaru? Zetsu said, I heard that Sasori planted a spy around Orochimaru, and I guess that spy should have passed intelligence about Orochimaru's movements to Sasori. The masked man nodded and did not speak anymore. He did not care what happens to Orochimaru. Turning his attention back to the battle between the Uchiha and Hyuga, he noticed that the battle was almost concluded. Uchiha Ryota had finally gotten the upper hand and knocked down Hyuga Hizashi. However, the fact that he didn't take any more actions against Hizashi indicates that even if crazy he was still sane enough to not kill Hizashi and soon left the bazaar. Looking at Hizashi lying on the ground unconscious, the masked man thought, if he dies, the blame will undoubtedly fall on Uchiha Ryota, and since Hyuga Hizashi is Hyuga Patriarch's younger brother he would obviously not forget such a thing. Therefore, Hyuga clan and Uchiha clan will become enemies deadly. But before he could take action he muttered in disappointment, it seems Hyuga Hizashi's luck is good. Someone arrived. After weighing it a little, he decided to give up this plan and said to Zetsu, let's go. Leaving those words his figure mysteriously disappeared in the transparent spiraling whirl. Zetsu glanced towards Hizashi and sunk back inside the trunk of the tree. In the bazaar. Whoosh. Whoosh. With the sound of breaking through the wind, 2 figures arrived at the now destroyed bazaar. The 2 men wore a sash that has the kanji of fire around the waist, indicating their identities being the member of 12 Guardian Ninja directly serving under the daimyo of the Land of Fire. This time, the operation organized by Konoha involved too many towns and villages all over the Land of Fire, so the daimyo of Land of Fire also dispatched 12 Guardian Ninja to help out in the hunting operation. And these 2 members of 12 Guardian Ninja rushed here because of the rising black smoke that they saw from a distance, suspecting that a fight must be going on here. Looking at the wounded people who fell in the flames, one of the 2 quickly shouted towards the other, Asuma-kun, there are people here. Asuma, who has only recently become part of the Guardian 12 Ninja, said with a solemn expression, Chiriku-san, be careful, there are chances that the enemy is still nearby. The 2 members of the Guardian 12 Ninja are none other than Sarutobi Asuma of the Sarutobi clan from Konoha, and Chiriku, a ninja monk from the Fire Temple. Chiriku nodded, heeding Asuma's warning, and he started rescuing the wounded from the fire. A few moments later Asuma discovered the badly injured Hizashi lying in the pile of rubble. Being the son of Sandame, Asuma very well understood Hizashi's strength, so exclaimed after noting Hizashi's injuries, Hizashi-san, who attacked you? Asuma's exclaim also attracted Chiriku's attention, and he also came here. Cough cough. After a heavy cough, Hizashi said weakly, it was Uchiha Ryota, he has gone crazy and dared to unscrupulously attack the villagers. When I tried to stop him, he started attacking me, it was unexpected and therefore, I was taken by surprise. Hearing Hizashi's words, both Asuma and Chiriku looked at each other with a frown, they did not expect that it would be an Uchiha clansman. Uchiha Ryota not only attacked the uninvolved civilians, but also destroyed the bazaar, slaughtering civilians, thus breaking the shinobi code, and even went as far as to attach a companion of the same village. At this time, another group of Uchiha shinobi was attracted by the spreading fire and rushed here as soon as they could. When they heard the circumstances and Uchiha Ryota's brazen actions, they were all filled with rage. Konoha has the shinobi code to never attack uninvolved civilians, and even during times of war they rarely slaughter the civilians without any solid reason, let alone attacking a shinobi of the same village. This action is open betrayal. Uchiha Ryota's unscrupulous action of slaughtering innocents aroused everyone's indignation, especially Asuma and Chiraku, who are directly serving under daimyo, and they clamored for his arrest and capital punishment. It didn't take long for this news to be passed back to the village, and everyone learned of Uchiha Ryota's action of attacking Hyuga Hisashi, the younger brother of the Hyuga patriarch. As soon as Shursui heard this, he couldn't help but curse the freaking bastard and quickly met up with Kuroto. When Shursui heard the news that Uchiha Ryota dared to attack Hyuga Hisashi, he was taken aback. In the eyes of General Konoha Shinobi, both the clan are noble and honorable, but they also know that the Uchiha clan is stronger than the Hyuga, whether in terms of strength or fame. But only Uchiha Shursui, who knows the true strength of Kuroto, understands that with the presence of Kuroto-san, Hyuga clan is undoubtedly superior to the Uchiha clan. Therefore, he was a little panicked when he heard that Hyuga Hisashi was attacked by Uchiha Ryota. He can't imagine what would the consequences be if Ryota actually killed Hyuga Hisashi. When Shursui met up with Kuroto, he apologized again and again to make sure that Kuroto-san overlooks Ryota's audacity this time. Kuroto waved his hand and said, "Forget it, this time I was a bit negligent. With the kind of temperament Uchiha Ryota has, I should have considered that he will take brazen actions if stimulated." Shursui was a little sad. He had even started to consider if just the sacrifice of Uchiha Hideki would be enough to save the Uchiha clan from their predicament. However, it seems that he was expecting too much. Uchiha Ryota's not only created a problem for the clan with the Hokage faction through his action, but he even dared to provoke the Hyuga clan. Therefore Shursui can't help but think that the extremists really have to purge, as they are too harmful to the clan. After making up his mind, Shursui said, "Kuroto-san, when are we going to kidnap Uchiha Ryota?" Kuroto glanced at Shursui with a smile. I thought you would still hesitate for a while." Shursui can't help but smile bitterly. The plan has already progressed to this point, and Uchiha Ryota is doing more harm to the clan than good, so it is better to continue. Kuroto nodded and did not tease Shursui anymore. After pondering a little, he said, "You should investigate Uchiha Ryota's movements to look for the possible opportunities. When we have the appropriate window, we can take swift action." Shursui nodded and the both of them separated. Temporary prison. Knock. Knock. The sudden knock on the door interrupted Shimura Danzo's thoughts. Recollecting himself, he said, "Come in." Followed by the command, a rude Umbu walked into Shimura Danzo's office and passed a document file. "Danzo-sama, this document contains all the intelligence we have obtained so far." Danzo reached out his hand to take the document file while questioning, "Has the base camp of Amatsukami been tortured out?" The root ninja shook his head. "Please forgive this subordinate Danzo-sama. Till date we have obtained no valid intelligence about Amatsukami. No matter how much torture the people are put through, no matter how much mind reading is done, nobody knows anything. They are all completely ignorant of any information related to Amatsukami." Smash. Crack. Danzo threw the document file at the wooden table and smashed his fist on top of it while speaking angrily. "They don't know anything? Then what is this document you are giving me? Do you want me to plan out the further actions using this rubbish?" The kneeling Umbu shook his head repetitively. No. Danzo-sama, they really don't know anything. And this file records the information about a Akatsuki organization. Akatsuki organization. Hearing these words, Danzo's gaze became grim. Picking up the document file from the table, he read the content and he was shocked. The more he read, the more his face turned pale. Orochimaru, Uchiha Shinichi, Hirako, Shino, Biwa Juzo, Sasori, Kakuzu, these damn S-class defected nin from all the villages have joined the Akatsuki. What do they want to do? Looking at the long list of names he is quite familiar with, Danzo's anger was off the charts. Akatsuki is different from Amatsukami, where Kuroto has made sure to disguise his identity using a mask, cloak, eliminating body odor, etc., to make sure that nobody could figure out his identity. When the members of Akatsuki acts, all of them show their true color and act without any scruples. Therefore, when Konoha started this full-scale hunting operation, all over the Land of Fire, the information about so many S-class missing nin being part of Akatsuki was immediately exposed. Kuroto secretly uses Konoha's intelligence network when he acts as Yama or Suijin, and most of the time, he used the Tenseigan chakra mode to travel from one location to another. Therefore he did not have much interaction with irrelevant people. For this reason, even if he has completed many missions in the black market circle as Yama and Suijin, the only people who have seen him are either his targets or the bounty boss. Akatsuki members are different. Most of the time, they travel on foot, uses their own intelligence network or that of the black market circle, whether it is food, lodging, or intelligence collection, they come in contact with all sorts of people. For that reason, the intelligence about who are they, and who do they work for, inevitable leaks. Putting down the file with a gloomy look, Danzo can't help but think, it seems that the previous rumors were indeed true. Not too long ago, there were rumors about Orochimaru and Uchiha Shinichi joining a mercenary organization in the black market circle, but nobody including Shimura Danzo believed such ridiculous nonsense. And it is natural because, in the eyes of Sandaime, Danzo, and others, a ninja at the level of Orochimaru would never bother to join some mercenary organization unless they have a special love for money, which is obviously not the case for both Orochimaru and Uchiha Shinichi. Although, the 4 members of the Elder Advisor Council were not sure about Orochimaru, however, in regards to Uchiha Shinichi, they all initially believed that he has defected to Kumogakure, therefore, they were doubtful whether the rumors were intentionally spread by Kumo. But now that he read this file, Danzo realized that rumors were not false. Danzo can't help but feel disturbed at the thought of so many powerful defected ninjas of Konoha hiding in Akatsuki. Moreover, they all have some story behind the scenes with Shimura Danzo, therefore, Danzo felt that Akatsuki poses a much greater threat to Konoha compared to Amatsukami. After a long silence, Danzo questioned, "Is there no information about the current leader of Akatsuki?" The kneeling Rude Umbu quickly replied, "The current leader of Akatsuki is also very mysterious, and it seems that other than the official members of Akatsuki, nobody knows anything about him. He has also not made any appearance in the shinobi world, so we were not able to torture out any information about him." Hearing this, Danzo nodded in understanding and ordered in an unquestionable tone, "Continue to collect intelligence. I want all the information about Akatsuki organization too." "Yes, Danzo-sama." The Rude Umbu nodded respectfully and left the office. At this time, Danzo again picked up the file recording Akatsuki's intelligence and muttered to himself, "Akatsuki, Amatsukami, what do they really want to do?" Suddenly, another Rude Umbu appeared in the office and reported, "Danzo-sama, we have just obtained a piece of intelligence according to which Amatsukami and Akatsuki are in a hostile relationship. The report even says that there was a fierce conflict between them." This new piece of intelligence immediately aroused Danzo's interest. If Amatsukami and Akatsuki are really hostile towards one another, there will be a lot of room for maneuvering, and he would even be able to sit at the top watching the two organizations destroying themselves. Therefore, he stopped his thought midway and questioned, "The two organizations are hostile? Is there any relevant information that confirms this?" The Rude Umbu nodded. "According to the reports, we have received the small-scale war a few months ago that destroyed a large part of the forest, and we suspected Orochimaru's involvement in it because of the clues found. There was actually a fight between Kakuzu of Akatsuki and Suijin of Amatsukami. The specific situation is not known, but the first part can be confirmed." Danzo nodded and asked, "What was the reason for the conflict?" The bounty exchange master seems to be unaware of the cause, but considering the fact that Kakuzu has commissioned the black market to investigate Yama only a few months prior to that conflict, the bounty exchange master speculates that Akatsuki and Amatsukami might have some disputes over the quota of bounty tasks. Danzo sneered at this speculation. Although the bounty tasks in black market circle are limited, there would never be a shortage for such strong individuals like Akatsuki and Amatsukami, so thinking that the dispute was caused because of the quota of bounty task is utterly foolish. There has to be some other reason which they have yet to figure out. Thinking so, Danzo ordered the Rude Umbu to leave, while he himself got up from the wooden chair he sat on and walked back and forth in his office, mulling over all the information he has in his hands up to now. According to the intelligence obtained so far, Danzo has gained a general understanding of Akatsuki. Their operation structure, the behavior of the various members, identities, and etc. are all within his scope of understanding, except that their leader is a bit too mysterious, but they do make an extraordinarily strong mercenary organization. However, Amatsukami is completely different. Up to now, they only know some bits and pieces about their members. For all they know, they are only aware of 4 members of Amatsukami, of which the abilities of the 2 are also not clear. Danzo never expected that even after carrying out such a large-scale operation, involving hundreds of shinobi not only in the Land of Fire but also the surrounding nations, he still could not dig out even the slightest of useful intelligence about Amatsukami. If not for the several outstanding and remarkable record of Amatsukami in the recent period, Danzo would even doubt whether Amatsukami really exist. Thinking so, he started reviewing his thoughts, connecting dots about all the actions that Amatsukami took part in, and after going over these dots many times, he suddenly thought of something, and that's when he felt that he grasped something about Amatsukami. The fact that there is no information about Amatsukami is also a piece of information in itself. The fact that no intelligence about Amatsukami can be dug. If you look at this from another perspective, it would imply that there is actually no clue to begin with. Imagine that even an organization as fierce and strong as Akatsuki also needs to use Black Market Circle and various private intelligence agents to collect information about their targets all over the shinobi world. Then why does Amatsukami not need to use the underground intelligence networks for obtaining all the intelligence they need? There is only one answer, that is, Amatsukami has another intelligence network. With the reputation that Amatsukami has about their high efficiency and precise shots, it wouldn't be wrong if Danzo infers that the intelligence network that Amatsukami uses is absolutely superior to that underground intelligence network. And in the shinobi world, there are only 5 shinobi villages that surpass the underground intelligence network. Is it possible that Amatsukami is actually just an empty shell organization created by a certain shinobi village? This thought appeared in Danzo's mind. Kirigakure has just gone through civil strife against their major clans, so they can be ruled out. They have neither strength nor the willingness to do this kind of thing. First they would do is get rid of their own troubles. Sunigakure is under suppression from the daimyo of the Land of Wind, so their power is continuously decreasing. Sunigakure is also an ally, so they can be excluded for the time being. If it was Kumogakure, then there was no need to sacrifice their head shinobi. They could have used so many other excuses to start the war, not to mention they wouldn't have agreed to the peace treaty itself, so Kumogakure can also be ruled out. Iwagakure is a bit suspicious, and with Inoki's character it wouldn't be surprising, but if it really was Iwagakure, they could have just killed Watanabe and disappeared. Why would they bother to take the risk of taking his body to the black market exchange shop? They would obviously make sure that the suspicion of Watanabe's death falls on Konoha's head. Moreover, it is also impossible for Iwagakure to recruit an Uchiha with the Manjikyu Sharingan, not to mention with the shadow in Inoki's heart it would be impossible for him to trust an Uchiha. With the process of elimination, Danzo denied the 4 possibilities and he was again in a bit of confusion. Does that mean Konoha? Was another thought, but how can such an organization be formed in Konoha without him knowing about it? Then he suddenly thought of Uchiha, and again as if a light bulb was lit, he thought, is it possible that Uchiha clan has been doing all of this? Uchiha clan is currently the most notable and superior shinobi clan in Konoha, even after they are being constantly suppressed thanks to his efforts. The strength of the Uchiha clan is without a doubt unquestionable. As for Homasubi, there is a ready-made Uchiha Shursui with the Manjikyu Sharingan, therefore, theoretically, the Uchiha clan can have 2 members impersonating as the members of Amatsukami, one of them being Homasubi, and the other being Suijin if he has somehow managed to awaken Ice Release, or maybe employ someone to play Suijin. But thinking so, Danzo suddenly frowned. Because he suddenly found a loophole in his own speculation, that is, why would the Uchiha clan attack the Kumogakure head ninja and then take the risk of sending his body to the Black Market Circle? If they somehow wanted to provoke conflict between Konoha and Kumo, and use it to their advantage, then why would they send his body to the Black Market Circle? This is a completely contradictory behavior. Not to mention, Uchiha clan does not lack money, so it couldn't be just bounty, right? Shaking his head to dispel this last absurd thought, Danzo suddenly had an absolutely genius idea, then an evil grin flashed on his face. It's because he suddenly realized that this is a very good opportunity to deal with Uchiha Shursui and seize his Manjikyu Sharingan. Tap. Tap. Soon, Danzo tapped his crutch on the ground. Listening to the sound, an Umbu ninja who was guarding outside walked in and asked, Danzo-sama, what does this subordinate need to do? Danzo said in a cold tone, secretly spread a rumor all over Konoha that Uchiha Shursui is Homasubi of Amatsukami. Yes, Danzo-sama. The rude Umbu was surprised, but he soon recovered and left the office to fulfill the instructions he was given. At this time, Danzo suddenly regained his confidence. He has no proof that Uchiha Shursui is Homasubi of Amatsukami, but for him, the presence of evidence is not important. All he needs is a rightful excuse to deal with Uchiha Shursui and get his hands on the pair of Manjikyu Sharingan. There are already many shinobi he has dealt with, and Uchiha Shursui wouldn't be an exception. Just like he secretly dealt with Konoha's white fang, Hatake Sakumo. At that time, Hatake Sakumo's fame had even surpassed the level of prestige of the Sannin, and the name of Konoha's white fang was feared throughout the shinobi world. If such a character was not contained, the threat to the Hokage faction would have been too great. Moreover, Danzo even feared that things would have started to get out of his hands, had White Fang's reputation continued to grow. Therefore, He used the opportunity of Hitaki Tsukumo's mission failure and used his Rudambu to make that secret piece of news a piece of public information by exaggerating it several times. As such, the secret information that should have been sealed in the mission archives became the talk of the town, and Hitaki Tsukumo's prestige quickly fell. It is just that Shimura Danzo never expected that Hitaki Tsukumo attached such importance to honor and facing the accusation and cold eyes of the same people he risked his life to save. In the end, he chose to commit suicide in silence. But all that is not important for now. What's important is that he gets his hand on Uchiha Shirsui's Manjikyu Sharingan and successfully eliminates the threat of the Uchiha clan from the village. Konoha does not need Uchiha clan, so it wouldn't matter if Uchiha Shirsui does the same thing. Kuroto and Shirsui were naturally unaware of what transpired in the prison. Currently, the two of them were present outside a village while hiding themselves in the forest cover. On a tree. Kuroto, who was wearing Yama disguise, activated the Tenseigan, carefully looking at the distant village and checking for all the movements. According to the latest intelligence obtained by Konoha, this dilapidated village hides a black market branch, so the ninjas involved in the encirclement and capture operation were currently searching the village for any clues about Amatsukami. Uchiha Shirsui, wearing the Homasubi disguise, was standing not far away, spoke in a whisper, "Yama, how is it? Is the information I received accurate?" Yama nodded. Uchiha Ryota is here, although he is accompanied by quite a lot of other shinobi." After receiving the confirmation, Homasubi asked, "Are we going to do it?" Yama nodded, "Yes, but let's wait for a while." Homasubi was puzzled. "Is something the matter?" "The village has been covered with the insects used by Aburame clansmen, so we have to be prudent on our approach." After explaining this, Yama continued, "It would be best if we wait for Uchiha Ryota to separate from his fellow teammates and use that opportunity to strike him." The previous incident, where Uchiha Ryota attacked Hyuga Hizashi, had a very negative effect. Even the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Fugaku, had to personally pay a visit to the Hyuga patriarch and ask for an apology for Ryota's actions. Although Hyuga Hizashi accepted the apology, the people of the Hyuga clan still refused to work in the same team as Uchiha Ryota. Therefore, the shinobi of the Aburame clan were stuck to work with Uchiha Ryota, along with the Uchiha shinobi and a Rudambu to make sure that the conflict does not escalate any further. And because of the indiscriminate actions of Uchiha Ryota of killing innocent and unrelated people, even Sarutobi Asuma, and the ninja monk Chiriku of the Guardian 12 shinobi were instructed by the daimyo to follow him and monitor his actions to keep him under check. Suddenly, there was an explosive sound from far away and the raging fire lit up the village in the burning flames. Looking at the rising flames and the black smoke, Yama and Homasubi stopped their conversation and paid more attention to the shinobi team. Hearing the cries of the villagers, Shirsui's face under the Homasubi mask was gloomy. Undoubtedly, even after being reprimanded by the patriarch, Ryota still didn't restrain his actions. And again, a lot of innocents were killed by him. Yama said with a cold tone, "It seems that we wouldn't have to wait for too long." And as he expected, the other shinobi restrained Ryota and kept him under the watch of a Rudambu while they cleaned up Ryota's mess, and Ryota used the opportunity to sneak away from the others. He also didn't wander around aimlessly but left the village alone. From the look he had a few seconds ago, it seemed as if he had found something. Yama and Homasubi glanced at each other and quickly followed him. After trailing Ryota for a while, Homasubi said, "I think, here should be far enough, don't you think?" Yama, who has been constantly observing everything with the Tenseigan, nodded. There is no shinobi around, a good spot to kidnap an Uchiha." With that decided, the both of them used body flicker technique and instantly caught up with Uchiha Ryota at the front. Seeing the two members of Amatsukami arrive before him, Ryota was so angry, and shouted, "You bastards, you finally dared to show yourselves. Where is my brother?" In Yama's point of view, Uchiha Ryota is nothing more than a torture subject who was only alive to give birth to a pair of Manjikyu Sharingan. Therefore, he did not bother to talk nonsense with him and signaled Homasubi. Homasubi nodded. Uchiha Ryota is different from Uchiha Hideki, whether, in terms of insight of his Sharingan or overall strength, he is far superior to that of his elder brother. In fact, some of the Uchiha even speculate that his strength is second only to the patriarch and Uchiha Shirsui. Therefore, even if both are brothers, Ryota is still far more dangerous. So to avoid any accidents, Yama and Homasubi had already agreed to attack him together and quickly solve him in the shortest amount of time possible. The silence of the two members of Amatsukami made Ryota understand that he is their target this time. As a shinobi who has been taking care of the dirty work of the Uchiha clan for many years, Ryota's experience far surpasses that of any other Uchiha. In fact, Ryota even thinks that his combat experience even surpasses the patriarch. For that reason, he did not wait for the enemy to start and himself printed hand seals, fire release, great fireball technique. At the same time, Homusubi also printed the same hand seals at a faster speed and used the exact same technique, fire release, great fireball technique. The two great fireballs collided, causing a loud explosion, spreading scorching hot fire all around. But the two did not stop there and instantly started a shurikenjutsu battle. The shurikenjutsu battle between the two was especially magnificent, and Yama once again got to witness the amazing shurikenjutsu skill of elite Uchiha shinobi. Taking advantage of Ryota's distraction, Yama rushed towards him. At this time, Ryota had just ended the shurikenjutsu battle with Homusubi and took out the emergency signal flare from his shinobi bag and was going to lit the flare. Yama's eyes shrank and he knew that he cannot allow Ryota to fire the signal flare, so he speeded up. One of Yama's hands was going towards Ryota's chest while the other went towards the signal flare. However, just as Yama was about to grab the signal flare from Ryota's hand, he noticed the winning smirk that Ryota had from the corner of his eye. Smash! Smash! But Yama was already too close to back off now, and at the same instant, two distinctive sounds of smashing were heard. One was the sound of Yama hitting Ryota's right hand that held the signal flare while taking away the signal flare, while the other was Ryota hitting Yama's chest with his left hand. In the same breath, Ryota shouted, "Ninja art, summoning technique, Iron Maiden of certain death." Poof! With a puff of white smoke, an Iron Maiden with complex seal prints appeared. Hundreds of metal chains shot out of the cage and wrapped Yama, restricting all his movements and dragged Yama inside it. P.S. The Iron Maiden looks like the one Naofumi used in the Rising of Shield Hero, but with additional chains. While being dragged, Yama couldn't help but think, this guy used signal flare as a feint and used that opportunity to perform summoning technique and bring out this Iron Maiden. Damn, I got careless, but then again, if I backed off at that moment he would have definitely fired the signal flare. This is still the better result. Regardless of his shitty character, Uchiha Ryota's superb fighting wisdom alone is commendable, and even if it is Yama, he can't help but admire it. Humph, the leader of Amatsukami? Nothing more than a piece of trash. Snorted Ryota in a cold tone as Yama was finally locked inside the Iron Maiden cage and would soon be dead. With Yama out of the way, Ryota moved his gaze towards Homusubi and said disdainfully, "You are going to be the next." Crack. Crack. Boom. Just as he was just about to start with Homusubi, suddenly the metal cracking sound was heard. Turning his head to look at the source, Ryota was surprised to find that the Iron Maiden he summoned was deformed abnormally by an inexplicable force. Hundreds of spikes that were supposed to rid Yama's body with holes were now flattened into metal discs. Coming out of the Iron Maiden as if walking out of the park, Yama said with a playful chuckle, "You should indeed be proud of your accomplishment just now, but do not let it go to your head." The way Yama came out of the Iron Maiden made Ryota suddenly feel a huge sense of crisis. He has a wealth of combat experience, and it was this very combat experience that was shouting at him in panic. Even after he racked all his brain, it was difficult for him to imagine just how exactly Yama broke out of his Iron Maiden. Sure enough, as Patriarch said, Amatsukami is not so easy. With this, Ryota's expression finally turned serious. Although he is a bloodthirst and crazy type, Ryota is by no means stupid. Even if he wants to choke these bastards, he still knew how to analyze the situation properly. And aside from all that, Ryota has extreme trust over his keen instincts, and these instincts were also screaming at him that the moment of life and death is here. Ryota has never told this to anyone, but his keen instincts are akin to a special intuition ability he acquired when his Sharingan reached the fully matured state. It was this intuition that helped him shine in the Third Shinobi Great War, and with that, he became a prominent figure in the Uchiha clan, second only to the Patriarch and Elder Council in terms of authority. At this time, Yama walked towards Uchiha Ryota, and incited him, "Compared to your pathetic brother, you are at least not disappointing." Although enraged, Ryota did not reply to Yama's taunt. He took a deep breath and printed hand seals and shouted, "Summoning technique." Puff. Instantly white smoke arose. When the smoke disappeared, a red tabby cat with a black napkin wrapped around his neck, a silver fork in the left paw, a knife in the other, and half fish in the mouth appeared before everyone. While chewing the fish, the cat mumbled vaguely, "Ryota, you idiot, have I not said to not summon me during my meal times? I will not be doing anything during my mealtime. But I am fighting an enemy." retorted Ryota helplessly. I couldn't care less. In fact, do us both a favor and just die already, said the cat with a humph tone. With a sigh, Ryota released the summon and the red tabby cat was sent away. Seeing this scene, Homosubi suddenly remembered something and said, Yama, that red cat can perform hundreds of types of jutsu, I am sure he wants to escape here using the reverse summon. Homosubi did not need to complete that sentence as Yama too realized that something was amiss here, and he also guessed Ryota's intentions. Therefore, as soon as the red tabby cat disappeared, Yama used rain wheel pull to attract Uchiha Ryota towards him. What? Uchiha Ryota, who was suddenly pulled towards Yama under some kind of force, was suddenly panicked. At the same instant, Yama also applied a gravity push under his feet and rushed towards the incoming Ryota, all while printing the hand seals. At the moment the two came in contact, Yama pressed his hands on Ryota's chest and shouted, Fuinjutsu, contract seal, seal. Ryota did not have any opportunity to recover when Homosubi, who was also pulled by Yama, took this opportunity to use Genjutsu. The whole fight did not even last even a minute from beginning to end. And the last counter was almost instantaneous. In just a few breaths, when the three landed on the ground, the contract seal had already disabled all the summoning contracts signed by Uchiha Ryota as well as the Genjutsu had already acted upon him. Uchiha Ryota's visual prowess may be stronger than Uchiha Hideki's, but it is nothing compared to Uchiha Shirsui's visual prowess, therefore he was easily solved. Using the opportunity while Ryota was trapped in the Genjutsu, Yama hit the back of his neck making him lose consciousness. With Uchiha Ryota unconscious, Yama used the 4-symbol seal to seal his chakra. With this, our objective is complete. Homosubi nodded with a heavy breath. He was relieved that no accident happened and Ryota was successfully captured. If he had somehow managed to escape this time, then the target of Amatsukami would have been revealed to Konoha and it would have become difficult to find any other chance to kidnap him. Moreover, there is also no guarantee that he did not realize anything during the confrontation, so the successful capture was a great relief. After completing the seal, Yama said, leave him to me, you should also leave this place now and make sure to find a suitable opportunity to show up in another place for your alibi so that the suspicion does not fall upon you. Homosubi nodded and without saying anything he disappeared from this place. Yama also did not delay anymore and after lifting Uchiha Ryota into the air using attractive force, he entered into the Tenseigan chakra mode and after taking a careful look around, also flew away towards the dungeon prison. Whoosh! 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 It wasn't much longer after Yama left, several shinobi arrived at the battlefield. These shinobi are none other than the same team including Sarutobi Asuma, Chiriku, Aburame clansmen along with 3 Uchiha shinobi who were with Uchiha Ryota not long ago. Because Uchiha Ryota sneaked away they had to come after him, and the rising black smoke that was visible from a distance and the burning forest was the best giveaway of his position. Although they arrived here together, their purpose is different. The several Uchiha shinobi were worried that if Ryota wanders alone, he would be attacked by Amatsukami, while Asuma and Chiriku came to take him under custody for his actions of attaching the innocent civilians and burning the village, despite the previous warning he was given. Only the Aburame clansman was just a helpless bystander and could only choose to follow helplessly. Arriving at the scene, the Uchiha members noticed the broken Iron Maiden and exclaimed with a gloomy face, oh shit, Ryota might be in trouble. At this time Asuma and Chiriku noticed the damaged signal flare that lied on the ground and asked, that signal flare, it was specially assigned to be used when one encounters Amatsukami, right? Another Uchiha shinobi looked at the signal flare and nodded, yes, Elder Consultant Danzo assigned this signal flare, and it was probably the one that Ryota had. Asuma said with a serious face, if Uchiha Ryota did not even have the opportunity to fire the signal flare to call for help, then he must have been ambushed by more than one member of Amatsukami. In the dungeon prison Kuroto created, Uchiha Ryota regained his consciousness. Unlike what Kuroto expected, Ryota didn't yell or shouted but calmly observed his surroundings and analyzed the situation he was in. Looking at the figure that stood before him, Ryota spoke with a chuckle, it is really ironic, who would have thought that the so-called Amatsukami, a bounty-nin organization are actually the shinobi of Konohagakure. Well, you are calmer than I expected, it is certainly better compared to acting like a barbarian. Spoke the other person in a mocking tone. Kuroto, who was wearing Yama disguise and leaning on the wall on the opposite side, had his arms folded over his chest and smiled slightly. Uchiha Ryota coldly stared at the unperturbed Yama and spoke, answer me. That Homosubi is Uchiha Shirsui, right? Yama was a little curious as to how Ryota figured it out and questioned, how did you figure it out? Even among the Uchiha clan, there are very few shinobi who know the abilities of my summon cat. So, Homusubi being able to figure out what I intended to do at that moment was an easy giveaway, not to mention he has the Manjikyu Sharingan. Nobody other than Uchiha Shursui meets both the requirements. After explaining this, he took a pause and continued with a sneer. It's not unexpected that Uchiha Shursui betrayed the clan and chose to side himself with the village, but I wonder what he will do once the clan is destroyed. Will the village let him live? Although I will die because of him, it wouldn't be very long when I get to meet him in the Pure Land. I would definitely want to cherish his expression at that time. From Ryota's words, it isn't difficult to guess that even if he managed to figure out the true identity of Homusubi, he still believes that Amatsukami is acting behind the scenes under the directives of senior management of Konoha. Yama smiled at Ryota's shrewdness and said, "You know, it is pointless to try to instigate infighting by inciting him. He is not even here in the first place, so your pathetic attempt is a wasted effort." Ryota curled his and snorted coldly. When he said a moment ago are indeed his true thoughts, but he did have some idea to incite infighting and use guilt of betrayal in Shursui's heart as an opportunity. Yama walked towards Uchiha Ryota. "Since you hold a very high level of authority in the Uchiha clan and considering the fact that you are the captain of the 3rd Division in the Konoha Military Police Force, I have a few questions from you that I believe you might know the answer of. I do hope you can answer them truthfully." Ryota grunted condescendingly. "And what are those few questions?" Yama did not use the roundabout approach and questioned in a straightforward manner. "How much do you know about Izanagi?" As soon as Ryota heard Yama mentioning Izanagi, his pupil shrank and he stuttered in surprise. How do you know about Izanagi? Did that traitor Shursui even gave away the information about it to the village? But just as he spoke, Ryota stopped midway in denial and spoke while shaking his head. "No. This can't be. In the first place, Shursui probably doesn't even know the secret of Izanagi. His attitude has always been uncertain, so Patriarch would definitely not tell him about Izanagi." Noticing Ryota's muttering, Yama spoke. "It seems that you do know a lot about Izanagi." Taking a short pause, he continued, "Explain what you know. I don't think that I need to say this, but you should understand the position you are in. The needless struggle will only make you suffer more before your inevitable death." Ryota did not answer directly, but spoke with a grim look. "What's the point even if I tell you about it? It is not as if it would be useful to you. It would be wise of you to give up Izanagi, as it is a forbidden genjutsu that only Uchiha clansmen can use. Without Uchiha blood and Sharingan, it is impossible to use it." Listening to Ryota's words, Yama walked back and did not speak anything to retort Ryota's words. In the original story, even those not of the Uchiha clan mastered this forbidden genjutsu. Shimura Danzo transplanted quite a lot of Sharingan and combined them with the Hashirama cells to be able to use Izanagi. Therefore, Izanagi is not limited to just the Uchiha clan. However, the Sharingan seems to be a necessary requirement, but that is probably because Sharingan has traces of Hagoromo's chakra that records the creation of all things technique, and Izanagi is derived from the creation of all things technique. But the Izanagi used by Shimura Danzo was only limited to 1 minute per Sharingan, while the Izanagi used by Uchiha Obito lasted much longer. This is probably because Danzo did not have the necessary spiritual and physical energy because of being a non-Uchiha and non-Senju. Therefore, what Uchiha Ryota said is actually not wrong, but it isn't right either. The non-Uchiha have a hard time mastering Izanagi, but they can if they are able to fulfill the necessary requirements. After a long silence, Yama spoke. "Well, I understand that Izanagi is exclusive to the Uchiha clan as you say, but would you mind humoring me a little, as I need to satiate my curiosity? Answer me, have you mastered Izanagi?" "Of course, I have not." Ryota replied very simply and then said with a laugh, "Izanagi is regarded as an ominous technique even among the Uchiha, and not many people are aware of it, and nobody is allowed to learn it," said Ryota, while also thought, "And it took me a lot of effort to convince Patriarch to let the clansmen master Izanagi at the time of launching the coup." Yama thought, thankfully Uchiha Fugaku is sane enough to not let all the Uchiha learn Izanagi, otherwise the fighting power of the Uchiha clan would have multiplied several times. Although he thought this, he still said casually, "Why should I believe whether you are speaking the truth or not?" Ryota snorted, "Humph, like I care. Believe if you want to, don't believe if you do not want to." Seeing Ryota's response, Yama chuckled, "I guess you are speaking the truth, because if you had really learned Izanagi, I am afraid that the entire Uchiha clan would have learned it overnight." Considering Ryota's radical behavior, if Izanagi would have come in his hand, then he would have definitely spread its information among all the Uchiha, therefore, forcing Uchiha Fugaku to speed the preparation of coup d'état. Since the Uchiha are still in the preparation period, this means that the Izanagi that Uchiha Patriarch holds in his hands has not been revealed to the others by Ryota. Ryota sighed at Yama's words and said with a bitter expression, the Patriarch has been waiting for the best opportunity for so long. But the thing is that best opportunity never comes, it has to be created. All he is doing is hesitating, and Patriarch's hesitation will doom the entire clan. Yama was no longer interested in discussing the matter of the Uchiha coup, and said casually, you don't know much about Izanagi, so you shouldn't know about Izanami, another forbidden genjutsu that was specifically created to punish the Izanagi users, right? Ryota frowned when he heard the unfamiliar term Izanami. Seeing Ryota's confused expression, Yama knew that he was right. Ryota seems to have never even heard the term Izanami, much less mastering it. But when he thought about it a little, this is also normal. Izanagi itself is regarded as a kenjutsu by the Uchiha, so very few people should be aware of Izanami. Seeing Yama's silence, Ryota asked, this Izanami? Is it also a kenjutsu of the Uchiha clan? Even I don't know about it, then how do you know? Did Shursui leak the information about it to you? Yama did not answer. Since Ryota does not have any useful information about the topics that Yama is interested in, so Yama does not bother to discuss anything more with him. Understanding that the other party was not going to answer him, Ryota thought a little and finally asked, so is Nii-san alive, or have you killed him? Yama chuckled, why do you even care whether he is alive or not? Do you think you can save him if he is alive, or do you think that you will be able to avenge him if he is dead? Is it really important? Ryota was silent for a while, then said, if it is not important, then it should be okay to at least tell me this, right? Listening to Ryota's words, Yama pondered for a while, then clapped his hands. Clap. Aha. Followed by the clap, a loud scream was heard throughout the cave. Uchiha Ryota, who heard the scream, recognized the voice, and it belonged to his brother Hideki, and he couldn't keep up his calm facade anymore, and shouted viciously, I swear I will kill you all. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kaioshin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Wilnet Duverne. Yami Tancho. Ben Phillips. If you liked the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll stay here until next time.